behind the closed doors and tell me that they're scared. I had an MMA journalist call me yesterday and said, I've got this huge story, but I'm afraid to put it up because I think Zuffa will get mad at me. And he
Right.
had every right to. It's a pretty interesting story. But, and I'm still researching it, by the way. I never put anything up without getting all my research in. But, that was a perfect example. He was basically telling me, I'm not going to take the story, but I know you're not afraid to, here's
Right.
the story,
Well, in a way
So,
that could form a useful conduit. Everyone, the stories that people don't have the cojones to write, they can just pass off to you.
yeah, well, I don't want, I think the bottom line is I'm starting to bring awareness to this because been 2 years since this video happened. And I do personally believe that Dana White has a problem with women. When he's on his Twitter last week telling Tito Ortiz to put a leash on
Jenna.
Jenna Jameson, who's Tito's, mate, his girlfriend, the mother of his children. I mean, that's out of line, and that shows a definite pattern that he has issues with women. And you know so I think that is part of the of my issue too, is that because I'm a woman, he thinks, and he has some obvious issues with it. That needs to be addressed, and it's uncomfortable for me to have to talk about this, but and I've kind of put off having to talk about this for 2 years. But I realized in this 2 years since he's made that video, he's been very aggressive to try and push me out of the business, and I'm just not going to be quiet about it anymore. And some people aren't going to like me, playing the gender card, but I honestly do feel it has a lot to do with this. If you doubt me, just go back to that video from 2009 where he calls me all those misogynistic, derogatory comments.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's hard enough for me in this business. It is, because I do feel pressure and I do feel discrimination, from some of the fans that send me comments, all the way to some of my colleagues. I hate to say it, but I've heard comments about what I wear and how I do,
Nobody ever notices
interact
what
with
I wear.
fighters.
No, I've
Exactly,
been trying for years.
and this has been over the process of the years, and I don't want to categorize my colleagues, my male colleagues. It's only been a select few, but I've been made aware of it as I've grown older,
Right.
and become more aware of what's happening to me. And like I said, a lot of the male media that I work alongside, they're great, and they don't discriminate me, and they treat me just like any other journalist, and are very supportive of me and stuff. And a few of them have come to my, aid, at least privately, and said, yeah, you are being discriminated, and we understand that, and we want to support you, even if it's behind the scenes right now,
Right.
So I was really grateful just to have that platform. It's hard describing what's happening to me, and Dana White and the media ban and everything. It's hard to describe it, and just you get like little 30-second clips, and but I did my best, and at this point I just want people to know what's going on. And I have people that are starting to reach out to me to talk about it more, and yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about it. I don't.
Yeah.
I tried being quiet for 2 years. It doesn't work. Just gets worse and worse. And I can't have him out there trying to sully my name and my reputation in journalism anymore.
Well, I think the interesting thing about that is twofold. First is that public figures like Dana White, Mark Cuban, and other people that wouldn't have those mediums like Twitter to communicate on, that opens up a whole new paradigm in terms of them saying things like him telling Tito to put Jenna on a leash. I mean, I think that's part of the appeal to a lot of fans is that Dana is on his Twitter all the time talking about whatever, but over a long enough timeline, things like that are going to be said. And when you wrap that in with the media climate, I mean, the thing that I was astounded about was first that people were in the MMA world were aghast at using anonymous sources, which I believe Dana got mad at you for using anonymous sources. I'm like, you know what? If it's good enough for Bob Woodward to bring down Nixon via Watergate, it's good enough for us. I mean, that's like the
Well,
funniest thing. Like, get him on record to say it. It's like that's a perfectly legit form of journalism. It's been vetted by your editors. I can tell the writers in MMA is like, we can stand together, or we can get picked off separately. So that's
right.
really, I think
Here's
that's
the deal
yeah,
with, and I agree with that statement, by the way. We can stand together or get picked off one by one. You're right.
right,
Um, and you know what? I am not the last. I'm not the last
Right.
journalist that he's, that Dana
Exactly.
White's put his target, his bullseye on, excuse me.
Bull's
I'm
head.
hearing that other journalists, there was a Las Vegas reporter, he said in one of his vlogs, or I don't know, one of his interviews, video interviews, that he called a scumbag, right?
Right.
So, and it's not me. I don't live in Las Vegas. So, and this was just a couple weeks ago around the UFC 29. But here's the deal really quick with anonymous sources. First of all, they're used everywhere in sports
Right.
and in other news, right? Around the world. But the AP rules
Yeah.
are very clear. If your subject that you're interviewing feels that in any way there could be repercussions or it would affect his ability to make a living, his job, that anonymous source could go on could you can use an anonymous source. I think there's not any argument at all that if my anonymous sources in that particular story put their names to those quotes, I don't think there's any argument that Dana White would have gone after them. He went after me for writing the story,
Right. Right.
But these were quotes that I needed. Like I had these managers coming to me and saying, "Hey, Zufus, basically cherry picking who can get these backstage credentials and who can't. And sure, yeah, we can go use one of the fighters' three trainer, cornerman credentials, but we don't want to.
Right.
These are those that should be the cornermen, that should be the trainers. Those are the guys they need. This is a multidiscipline sport." And I said, okay, that's fine. I go, but you need to explain to me, so I can explain to the audience why this is such a big deal and what do you think the motivation is and where do you think it's heading.
Right.
And obviously, one guy did tell me what it was, and it was anonymously because it was their impression that Zuffa was trying to create a wedge between them, the managers and their clients. And, I'm sure Dana was very upset about that particular comment, but it was very relevant to the piece. And also, I had sources on the record tell me. I
Right.
had Monty Cox on the record. I had Ken Pavia on the record telling me, that they were aware, or had been directly told, we're not going to give you credentials anymore.
Right.
So
No, that's the thing.
I,
I loved how everyone got their panties all in a ruffle on the various forums and whatnot when that's like been part and parcel of investigative journalism, and just regular journalism, not even sports journalism, which is, sort of the weird stepbrother to mainstream journalism. But no, we're almost out of time here, so I want to thank you again, Loretta Hunt, and catching our third episode of MMA Talking Heads. You can catch us on the internet at youtube.com/MMA Talking Heads and Twitter, MMA Talking Heads, and on our Facebook page, MMA Talking Heads. And joining me, Loretta Hunt, today, I'm Jason Probst, and we'll see you next time at
MMA Talking Heads.
Yeah.